So this tutorial is going to be about tags. So if you watched my last tutorial, it's not necessary to watch the last one. But if you watched the last one, I built these three buttons and they just show what button you pressed on the billboard. So tags are really useful. You can use them to mark devices or props so that you don't have to put them in the editable directly in Verse. So, for example, here, my button device, that's what I named it before. So I'm using the editable attribute to put them into Verse here. And then here I'm calling them with the @editable here in Verse. So, another way is to use tags. And what makes tags useful is that you might have a whole bunch of devices or props and you want them all to do basically the same thing. A tag will save you from having to import every single one. So like say you have 16 items or you have like 16 spawners and you don't want to put them all in individually because they all do the same thing. You can just tag them. So my example here is not going to be like, well, you probably wouldn't use this specific example for a game, but I don't know, you might. But basically, it's just to get the basic gist of tags. So let's get started. So how about if we start with button one? I'm gonna comment out button one here just so we comment it out here just so we can see everywhere it is. So button one, I'm going to comment this out, my listening event. Okay, so, all right, so let's make a tag. So you want to go outside of all your classes. So see how I have this button device class here. So you want to go outside of all your other classes and all that. You don't want it in there. And you're going to make its own little class, I guess is a good way to put it. So you can name it whatever you want. So I'll name it button tag one, how about? And I'm going to make its own tiny little class and tag here and there, tiny little class. And then now we got to import it because tag is actually a module. So I'm going to import this using and put it here, there. And then the red goes away. So we made it into a tag. So now we have to access it like here we had the interacted with. So let's create a function. We'll call it button one, or no, we'll call it, yeah, button one init. How about that? And then let's see, we'll call button one init. And then we're going to want to make this function here, return void equals, all right. So we're going to call this, how about B1, I guess. B1 is going to equal to, well, I'll just call it button one, just button one. Yeah, that way, just so it's, no, I'll name it like this, just so we know what it is. Button one equals get creative objects with tags. Make sure I spell this right. It's usually where I go wrong. And then whatever we named it. So we named it up here, we named it button one tag one. So button tag one. There we go. And there, I think we put, yeah. Okay, so button tag one. Did I name that right? Get creative objects with devices. What did I do wrong? Button tag one. Um, button tag one. Oh. Oh, with tag. See, I misspell things. Okay. Get creative object with tag. Okay, there we go. And then now we have to do a loop because devices are always in an array. Like even though we only got one here, it'll be at place 0 in the array, but we still got to loop over it every time. So for object, we can call this whatever we want, but object is just easy and standard. And then we're gonna call it whatever we named it up there. So button one. So we're gonna loop over button one object. So for that, okay. So for that, and then if button one is equal to button device, and then we called it object for a loop, so we're going to loop over that. So if that, then we want to do, oh, what happened? What did I do wrong? For object. Oh, wait, sorry, I got a name. This is another thing. So we'll just call it B to make life easy. So B dot interacted, and so we do like what we did over there. So interacted with event dot subscribe agent, and then button one pressed one, right? Or I think so. What did I do wrong here? Button one pressed. Oh, actually, I should do button in pressed since we're passing it using the one where we passed in a variable. This would just be subscribe if we use this one. But since we used the two arguments passed in, that was the button agent one. Okay, so there we go. So now that we made the button device here, we have to tell verse about it up here, just like how we did button one interacted with event that we commented out. So now we got to tell it about this and do button one init. There we go. So now if we build this, hopefully it should still work how it did before, except now since we commented out the editable here, it oh, I still had that as a game. My bad. Okay, so build verse code. Let's see here. I had left that running by mistake. So button device, let's see. See now button one is gone here. But now we need to tell verse about it. So let's go to our button and tag it. So we're going to go to this button here, the one we want to use our tag for. So we're going to go to that button and we're going to do add and search for tag here. And it's going to be verse tag markup. And then verse tag markup, you're going to pick the tag we made. So we made button one tag for it. And then verse, build verse code, save all this, hopefully. Okay. And then push changes. And hopefully, if we did this correctly, it should do this exact same thing that we did before, but with a tag instead of using editable. So let's give it a second. Okay, and now okay, so see how it's working the same as it did before for button one. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so now that we made button one, we can actually do that with all these buttons. And just a side note, if you wanted all these buttons to do the same thing, you could just tag them all now and they'll all print to the screen. They'll all print you press button one for all three of these. if you just wanted that one tag because you wanted all your buttons to do the exact same thing. But since we don't want to do that, let's, I guess, make the other two buttons real quick just so that they all do what they are already supposed to do. So we could do, we can copy and paste, copy, paste and paste, button 2 tag, button 3 tag, and then we can copy and paste this. And then I'll just do button 2 in it here. Most of this could stay the same, actually. Like, this isn't very important, but this is because we want button 2. Let's see, this can stay the same pretty much because it's all the same, except here. We want to do 2 here. Right, yeah, and then copy and paste again. Right, so Z, Z. Okay, button 3 in it. And then this one will be button 3 and, oh, button tag 3. Hopefully I remembered to change all those here, and then we need to comment these out here. And then copy and paste. And button 2, button 3. Okay, so hopefully if I did that right, then here we need to go to our buttons and tag those. So we want to go tag, oh, here, it's already here. But yeah, you can add, and then you could do, oh, I gotta build it first. You could build it from here or the regular way from here, but we have to build it just so our tags are there real quick. Okay, so that one's gonna be button tag 2 and 3. And if it's not right here, you could just click here and then search for tag and then it should pull up. But I'm just gonna, since it's already right here, I'm just gonna do this, button tag 3. Sweet. Okay, so hopefully then we run this again. Now hopefully if I didn't forget something, all of our buttons should do the exact same thing. It should, when we press button 1, button 2, and button 3, if we tagged them all and we wrote the code right. So let's check that this is true. Oh, but I just realized I forgot to comment out the editable. So this might be working properly, but it might not. So I forgot to comment out the editables here. So let's just fix that. So we comment out the editables to make sure we're using the tags. So I'm just gonna build that again. And then I'm going to push it. You just make sure that on here it shows up. So hopefully my tags, they should disappear. Oops, in-game verse, build it. Okay, so yeah, so the buttons disappeared. So now, hopefully, if it works properly, there we go. Okay. So we got rid of all the 3 editable in our verse here, in our, like, and now we're gonna do tags instead, like, and we make sure to tag these. So we tagged our buttons. We tag this one button 1, button 2, button 3, and everything can have multiple tags. So I guess while we're waiting for this to run real quick, I might have said it already, but if I didn't, you could have multiple tags. You could have however many tags you need for your game. So maybe you want one tag to do something for a time, then another tag, when the player does something. I don't know. But yeah, you can have more than one tag too. But, and you can have all the tags do the same thing, just in case I forgot to say any of that. Right, so Press button 1. Yay! Okay, so our tags are working. See? Look at that. That's so cool. Okay, so I'm going to end this. And now we just have our billboard to make into a tag. So, see this billboard right here? Let's also make that into a tag. And so I'm going to comment it out just so we can... This one's a little bit more involved. Well, not a lot, but just a little. But there we go. I'm going to tag it out, and I'm just going to run this just to like... Oh, it'll probably error out because other stuff relied on it. So how about since I'm using, let's see, I'm using, which one? Since I'm using this button in pressed, I'm just going to delete these ones just since I'm not using them. I'll delete all these since I'm not using these just to make life easier. Okay, so there we go. And so now when we press this button, we want the billboard to do stuff. So we're going to use the same concept here. So I'm just gonna come up in here and work on this. So now we're gonna do, I don't know, bill 1. So bill 1, I'll do, oops, 1. And that's gonna equal get creative ob uh, objects with tag. And then what did we name our... Oh, we gotta make our tag. Silly me, sorry. So it's gonna be billboard tag 1 equals a class and a tag. Same as the other tags. Whether you're using props or devices, it doesn't matter. It's always just this, and then whatever you want to name it here, just so you know what it is for. So billboard tag 1. So we want to get billboard tag 1 tag, billboard tag 1, and then, all right, so we get that. And then we always have to do the loop because no matter what, even though there's only one, it's always in an array. So we have to get the first element in the array every time. So bill 1, so same concept here. And then for that, and then we still have to check if it even exists. So this doesn't really matter. We can call this part the same since these loops are all self-contained. Um, but this time instead of button device, it's going to be billboard device. And that's still, we did the object just to make it easy. You can name it whatever, but there we go. Actually, I commented out the other billboard one, so let's just do this. Billboard 1, just so that we don't have to rename these. Tag, oh, uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Dot billboard device. Did yeah, okay, so billboard device. I did something wrong somewhere. Oh, I spelled this wrong. Okay. Spelling is half the battle. Okay, so there we go. So now, hopefully, if we did this properly, it should... Okay, so we did the billboard here. Feel like I'm forgetting something, but let me just do this really quick here. And then I gotta make sure to tag it here. So we go to our billboard, and if it's not like readily available here, like this first tag markup, if it's not here, you can always hit this, search for it here, and then it should pop up. But I think, yeah, it's already here, so I'm just gonna click on it. And then I'm going to make sure to did I not? Oh, if it's not there, just you gotta run or you gotta compile your code. Okay, so now is it there? Yay! Okay, so it's there. Nice. And then compile it again. And then push changes. Now, hopefully, if I didn't forget something, I very well could have forgotten something, but if I didn't forget something, it should work exactly the same way as it did before with no editable tags. Okay, so let's see if it works. Okay, so let's see if this works. Okay, so press button 1. Yay, look, and it works. Sweet. Okay, so it's so cool that that works because now I'm just gonna end this real quick. I mean, for this example, it's not that important, but if you had like 100 buttons that all did the same thing, I don't know, maybe, or 100 spawners or something random like that, it's so helpful. You don't have to write a whole bunch of code. You just have to remember to tag them all, or props or something. So that's what makes it really helpful. And then that way in here, you don't have to, like, even though this looks like a little extra code, sometimes it just saves you a lot of work having to tag them all individually. In this example, it's probably more code to do it this way, but not really. Actually, it did kind of minimize it. And if you like my tutorial, I'm gonna throw in a shameless plug for some of my games. I want to make a tutorial. I'm thinking about making a tutorial about moving props and moving devices around. So for this game, Mythic Greek Garrison that I made, these little houses are actually 8 things that are just moving together. It looks like one, like the house looks like one thing, but it's not. I'm actually moving 6 props, and then I'm moving a light with it, and I'm moving an item granter with it. So it looks like one piece, but it's not, which is kind of cool because you could bust out all the walls individually and stuff. Anyhow, so if you like my tutorials, and you want to try out some of my games, this is a shameless plug. Thanks for watching.